Winterheat it's hard to get people out in the cold in winter, and so what better than fire? So I think that's our key element.
It's a number of groups that have all pulled money in together. Newcastle Council, the Hunter Alliance, the Honeysuckle Development Corporation and Ministry of Arts. It's directed by Michael Cohen. It's to bring a number of different art projects into the city. Winterheat is a candle project, a sculpture project and a water project, utilising a number of different sites through Newcastle.
There's a lot of change going on in the city, lots of new building, and it's about making them populated people places. They should be human spaces, and so doing human activities within them creates connections and memories and emotions and attachments to these places.
Trish Flanagan was brought in to the project as an artist to bring in some large, big, floating, illuminated sculptures.
The idea was that we'd get a barge and make a large floating illumination for Throsby Creek and in the harbour. The process we went through was to first sketch down ideas and concepts. I had lots of images of crustaceans and fish and insects, frogs, all sorts of things, and we collaged those together and developed our own line drawings. And then we worked with thin metal wire and made 3D line drawings to try and resolve those things into a 3D form. From there, at the following session, we brought in cane and paper and started to make bigger scale models of those smaller creatures we developed. And we also started working at that point in teams because it was clear that each one was going to take some effort. And the ideas evolved, and because of that process as well, that they became conglomerate beasts rather than one specific person's concept. The quickest way of working with the cane was just to use gaffer tape to bind them together. And we had different grades of cane from 4mm down to 2mm. We also tried twisting wire together to make some of the framework in that way, and then worked with PVA glue and baking paper to cover the forms. The early ones, I think we were painting the PVA onto the cane and then cutting paper or paper cut to size pressed onto the cane framework. We found that if we watered down the PVA and really coated the whole of the paper structure, that it would shrink down a little bit and therefore give you a stronger form, and it also added a layer of waterproofing to it. One of the pieces was something like a sea urchin form, where the girl who was working on it, Mandy, had drawn something that looked a little like a pumpkin, and she had this layering of leaves. And so the process that we went through began with a big wire frame, and we soon realised I needed to get a base structure out of metal, so I welded up a bottom circle and a top circle and some upright supports. After she then worked on that the following week, she added an outer layer of leaves, and then I added an outer layer of supports welded onto the bottom frame. Then a different group of people started making small cane circles to fill in the whole structure of the leaf, or of these leaves, which became quite a time-consuming mountain of work to do. And I think probably 8 people worked on it for 2 days solid.
The idea in Civic Park was a Friday night. It was to draw people in off the street as they're going home. We had a stage set up, a display of candles and a nice angel wing display. There were some sculptures by 3 gentlemen who had fire sculptures in there. There's music, piano, violin, a light display, lights on trees. You felt quite warm and toasty, and it was quite a nice friendly atmosphere watching the piano player and the violinist. A lot of people were sitting in amongst all the candles, which really gave a nice warm fuzzy feeling.
Another successful piece was done off-site and not in the workshops, and that was from one of the local Steiner schools, where they took on the same concept, pallet base and something above, and they a week later came down to the shed and delivered their work, which was 7 small seed creatures in different forms, really nice bright colours, and they really added a lot of life to what we had been doing in isolation, which was all white construction.
Harbour Square is a brand new development of the Honeysuckle Corporation down on the waterfront. It's for everybody. It has bars, it has restaurants, it's a boardwalk that you can come any day of the week to enjoy the wonderful harbour. We had the candle display, we had a choir, we had Trish set up on a barge, firstly displaying only a small part of her big display, which was going to be the following week. Trish had workshops set up, so you could still be a part of the whole program. On that night, you could see some works that have already been done, and the whole picture of what's going to be there for the following week.
The jellyfish was actually a sea lice. The first model was taken from an image of a sea lice, so it was something microscopic blown right up. So when we started building the cap, or the top section of that, I think we were up to about 2.5 metres in diameter, and as this structure grew, it started to become a bit of a worry of how I was going to support this up on a pole and not have a dangerously heavy object. I cut holes all through the top of it to get some airflow going through so it didn't take off like an umbrella, and then to get a bit of movement I connected lots of streamers underneath it, so like tentacles, and this worked pretty effectively because we got on the barge we had some pieces sitting on the ground, some pieces right up in the air, and this one created a really nice floating element at about 3 metres off the barge level, and all the streamers really caught in the wind. Actually, in the end, it was one of the pieces that functioned really well from a distance.
Hunter Street Mall, that is our older part of Newcastle, so we wanted something different up there. The display of candles were a nice long line that you'd go for a horse ride, taking you back to Newcastle yesteryears. Again, nice, warm, fuzzy feeling, building you up to the biggest show of the Mount Carrington. At the mall, the music was a harpist. The reason the harpist was chosen is it wasn't amplified. In the era that the mall was made, we didn't have amplification. The horse, the music, even the display of candles was all themed directly to the location of the mall.
We started making a series of balls for the body of the butterfly, which were beautiful objects in themselves. We actually took them away and photographed the cane versions of them before they were papered. And then other people came in and pretty much resolved the wings and putting the structure together. So in the space of, I think, about 4 days, this butterfly evolved and was really quite enormous. You know, it was a blessing to have like a second wind of energy to come in the middle of the workshop. And yeah, in the end we lit it up with red light, and yeah, it really came to life. It worked really well on the barge. Getting down to the Mount Carrington site was logistically looking a little difficult if we had to move them on land, so we were able in the end to move them onto the barge and then barge them down. So we had project participants and lots of the live sites people down there all shifting everything, a block across the city which looked rather amusing, I think, particularly crossing the zebra crossing with these large paper forms.
Mount Carrington is a big man-made hill, but it's over on the Carrington near Throsby Creek that everybody can enjoy. It's a nice big grassed parked area. It's brand new. It overlooks a section of brand new villas It's all been beautified and made into this wonderful new Mount Carrington. Our fire sculptures were nice and close in around our audience, so you could sit on top of the hill and take in the whole show all in one go. Right from the candles where you're sitting in amongst, down through the timber sculptures, down to see the music, right down to the water where Trish's sculptures were parked.
The small lanterns that had been made became a nice sculptural installation in a puddle over the back of a hill, a kind of quiet area.
Because it was all new, it was new, funkier music by Adam Miller.
It was a really great atmosphere with candles everywhere, and then the barge made an appearance and got lots of ooh-ahs from the crowd.
Butterflies, sea urchins, everybody's wondering, what's that? There's a jellyfish.
Look at it, it's just gorgeous out there, you know, and couldn't have asked for better.
I'm hoping next year will be a bigger and better event, even bigger than the wonderful event we've had held this year.